All right, welcome to chapter 8. Let's start with the law of sines. We did 8.1 before the chapter 7 test. Pretty easy geometry review. So let's, this is actually a pretty easy algebra 2 review. So chapter 8, I hope to see a lot of good test scores and grades going up if they need to go up. So as always, take a second to pause me. You got a lot of writing to do for this. Although everything on the screen is everything you're going to need to write except for the examples that we're working out together. All right, so we're not going to use law of sines on right triangles because if we have a right triangle, we're going to use SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA is always going to be easier than law of sines. We can only use SOHCAHTOA when we have a right triangle. So if we have a right triangle, we're going to use SOHCAHTOA. If we don't have a right triangle, we're going to use the law of sines or the law of cosines, which is the next section. Angle side pair, that's what we need to think about with the law of sines. So you can see I've circled angle inside, angle inside, angle inside for these different setups that we remember from geometry, right? Also, make note, we could write this one like this. And that's going to come into play tomorrow or in the next video when we talk about the ambiguous case. For now, we're just going to not make that joke. So if I'm given an angle side angle, I have this angle side pair, and you're looking at this and you're like, well, that's not given information. How do you have that? So I want you to actually answer that question. Let me go to this, though, before we do that. Side angle looks like that. I have an angle side pair that is given to me. Angle side, I have an angle side pair that is given to me. I have these two values given to me, okay? I have these two values given to me. Now I'm telling you that this setup, ASA right here, is also an angle side pair, and I clearly am showing that this is not given to me. So you might be thinking, well, that's not an angle side pair then, but it is. So take a second and look at that. If I know these two angles in this side, why do I have this orange circle like that indicating that I am given an angle side pair? Pause me. Think about it. Okay, so hopefully you remembered that the sum of the angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. So if I know these two, I can figure out the third one. So kind of in a roundabout way, this one is given to me. So let's look at that. All right, the law of sines, this is the equation we're going to use any two of the fractions that are equal to each other, any two of the ratios. So I always recommend drawing a picture for these. It doesn't have to be a big picture. Remember that the angles are labeled in capital letters and the sides are labeled in lowercase letters, and the side and angle across from each other are the same letter. So if this is angle C, then this is side C. And then this is side A, and this is side B. You saw that in the pictures we had above. So you can see that we have this angle side pair right here, right? So that's what I'm going to use to set up my first ratio. Sine of the angle over the side. And then the other thing that I'm kind of stuck with, not necessarily, but I'm kind of stuck with is this right here, because when I'm solving a triangle, I'm trying to find all the missing information, all of the missing information. Okay, so I don't know anything about A. I don't know angle A, and I don't know side A, so I can't use that in a fraction or one of my ratios, because I would have sine of angle A over side of angle A, and that's two unknowns. I want only one. If I go with B, though, I've got sine of 45. I know the angle divided by the side. And now I can solve for the lowercase b. We are going to need a calculator for this, and you are going to need to make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. So I only have a graphic calculator to show you this on, but it should be relatively simple on a scientific calculator as well. Let me get my shadow out of the way. Okay. How do we solve a proportion? Remember that a proportion is two ratios that are equal to each other. How do we solve a proportion? Yeah, we cross multiply, right? B times sine of 95 equals 5 times sine of 45. Let me make sure I'm in degree mode. I'm not. Okay. And then I want to figure out what B is, so I'm going to divide. This is attached with multiplication. So I'm going to divide both sides by sine of 95. And then I hope you can see this. My glare, my sun coming in my back window. I'm literally just going to type this in. With a scientific calculator, you might have to do like sine of 45 and then hit enter and then multiply that by 5 and hit enter and then divide that by sine of 95. But since I have a graphing, I can just type in 5 sine 45. Notice I have 2 open parentheses, so I need to close 2, divided by sine of 95, and I get 3.549. So B is 3.549. There's one of my missing pieces of information. I can find, now I need to figure out what the heck I'm going to do about A, because I just said I don't have angle A or side A, so I can't use it as one of my ratios, but you probably already know what I'm going to do, right? I can find angle A. Where do I want to write this? I'm trying not to run out of space. A is going to be 180 minus 45 minus 95. So what is this? This is 140, right? So A is going to be 40 degrees. So there's another piece of information. And then now that I have that, I can go back to my sine of 95 over 5 and set that equal to sine of 40 over side A. And then I'm just going to go through the same steps I did before. Cross multiply and divide. And plug into my calculator. I'm going to go 5 sine of 40 divided by sine of 95. And I get 3.226. And now I have all of the information about that triangle. I solved the triangle. Okay. All right, so let's do one more. Okie dokie, we could do this in a slightly different order. Maybe we want to find angle C first. That's 20, not 200. 20 degrees, it says right there, right? Maybe we find angle C first. That's a big C. What is this, 60? So C is 120. And then we have our side angle pair that's given. A side and an angle across. So I can say sine of 40 over 2 equals sine of 120 over C. And same thing, right? Same process. I'm going to go C sine of 40 to sine of 120. Dividing both sides to get the C by itself. And I've got 2 sine, oops, I forgot the parentheses. 2 sine of 120 divided by sine of 40. 2.695. And I can also find, oops, that's a B, right? So I'm going to go back to my angle side pair, sine of 40, the two pieces that are given to me. And then I'm going to connect it to B now to find side B. And now this is the 4th time you've seen me do this. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the angle to 20, right? 2 sine of 20 over sine of 40, 1.064. And what I recommend doing on these problems is labeling your triangle with the numbers that you got and making sure they make sense. So that's going to require some geometry, some reminders about geometry maybe. Remember that the longest side is across from the largest angle and the shortest side is across from the smallest angle. So if I look at this, 2.695 is the longest side and it is across from the largest angle, bad shadow. And the shortest side is 1.064 and it is across from the smallest angle. So hopefully that's easy and you guys can get that done really quickly. I hope you guys are doing well.